agriculture and other things that are on my mind. Alrighty, so today I am actually in my truck, which is kind of rare for this channel. I kind of want to take a drive down through here and I want to get to a point where I can actually show you what this corn is doing right now. This is a 101 day variety, and what I'm going to talk about is the stuff is turning, by the way. What I'm going to talk about is drought and when not to have a drought, and like the worst time you can possibly have a drought in a growing field of corn. And it's probably going to surprise a few people, but the fact of the matter is, I need to get down here with a mower and mow this thing. My terraces are just so overgrown. Oh, yeah. So anyway, let me get on out. I'm gonna shut this. Yeah, well, let me shut it off to get out. So I'm here in the field. I hope y'all can you hear me, or did my truck grab this thing? Can everybody hear me okay, or did the truck grab the damn phone? Yes or no? Say I can or I can't. Good, you do hear me. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm here, and this is between the fields that I have down below my parents' house. I'm going to go ahead and flip the screen because this will be a better rendition of what we got. So what I was saying was there's never been a the worst time you can have a drought in a field of growing corn is actually at the very end. At the end of the growing season, like when it starts to go into dent, you can lose as much as 15% of your crop if it starts to dent or is thrown into early dent. You'll lose test weight is the biggest thing. If you're a farmer, you've ever grabbed an ear of corn and it looked really good when you ripped it off its stalk and you put it in your truck, and then 2 days later this thing looks like this anemic, spindly looking ear. These things are just everywhere. I mean, I have some beautiful corn. I do. I got a lot of ears in here. They're beautiful. These gorgeous, these gorgeous ears. Okay, so you never want stress on your corn anyway. And I've grown corn for the majority of my life. I did give it up for 4 or 5 years, and now I'm back at it. And I did do some experimenting, and this year I experimented with higher population. And I don't think I'm going to do the higher population next year. Of course, we have birds that are getting in here. Here's a little guy. Look at that little idiotic ear. But the ears look pretty good. They're all here, and they're starting to turn. Uh, yeah, this is a spot that was. This is not a good spot in the field. This is actually a wet spot in the field, so that's why the stalks are more spindly. But for the most part, this stuff is going to definitely be over 200, 220 bushel, if not more. I'm just going to say, let's just say it's going to yield something like 200 bushel. I wish I had actually not gone with the higher population, but you don't know until you try it. So anyhow, if you don't know that corn just cannot be stressed, there's really two times in the corn's life that it can't be stressed out, and that is at emergence. If you have a poor emergence, you have a poor stand. It's going to be a poor yield. It's just you're going to be poor. If you have a good emergence and the corn gets up and running, and you have a dry spell, say at the 4 or 5 leaf level, something like this before it shoots tassel. You have a dry spell, it can muscle its way through there because it's got the root system, builds roots, just stores energy and gets ready to shoot tassel and put on that ear. And then of course you get the rain and you're relieved and things get going and life is seemingly good. But then you get that late season, like that mid-August, where it can be really, really dry. Now, we were starting to get dry. My corn never curled a day in its life. It never did. But I was starting to get a little worried because you're getting these little spitting rains 3 weeks. 4 weeks, a tenth here, 2 tenths there, half a tenth there, 3 tenths the next, and it's enough to screw up the haymaking, but it's not enough to actually keep the corn, going like a raging bull. I wanted my corn to have that raging bull water. Now, we just had 5 inches of rain, and the corn here behind me, which I'm never happy about shucking back ears because it just doesn't, but deer did it for me. So let's say we flip this around. A deer did it for me. So here's what it looks like. It's in full dent right now. That's it, right there. It's in full dent. It's beautiful. Now, if I peeled that ear off of there, threw it in that truck, and simulated a severe drought, like all of a sudden it just dried right the hell up, you would see a very spindly ear with tiny little kernels. It's best to have a lot of moisture at the dent when it starts to dent. A lot of moisture at early dent. If you don't get a lot of moisture at early dent, you're not going to have a crop that's worth anything. It's just going to be mediocre. You'll have lighter test weight. You'll have less bushels in the tank. It's just not a good thing. So my worst field that I have is this one here to my left. At the top part of it is to my left. It is kind of yellowing. It's a very wet spot. I'm riding on a terrace, and there's a spring there, and the water runs out in 3 different spots, and it channels its way down there. But for the most part, this corn is really, really good. Really, really good. I'm very pleased with everything that I have. Yeah, so I guess it's just a little talk about my corn. I know there's some people out there that are saying that I'm the only one that has good corn on the YouTube channels, and I thought, well, that's not right. Hold on a second while I put on my seat belt. I'm going to put on my seat belt. I got a couple of hay rakers in the field right now. It's too wet to if no, don't take that way. You add when corn goes into dough stage, late dough stage, and early dent, you really want moisture then, because it just continues filling it out. As that stuff starts to dry down, it is still taking sugar into that ear, and there's a lot of energy going into that ear. Like I said, if you cut it off with a drought, nothing goes to it and it doesn't finish up. It just dries out and you have light test weight. So moisture is always important in corn, no matter what you do. I know there's a lot of guys that say, well, you just started growing corn. I'm 49 years old. I took a 5-year sabbatical from growing corn, where I'd studied a lot about growing corn and the new varieties and what you can do with certain products and things that you buy, and just general practices. And there's a couple of practices that I would like to practice next year, because I still think that I can push this crop even farther, even with less population. And the population is good at 37,700. It's too high for me. If we did run into a small dry spell, it would have been detrimental. I mean, it would have just disastrous. It would have made a bigger mess. So, it is what it is. I've hit it all right. And if it dries up right now, because everything that I have is in that early to full dent stage. The 100-day corn is just starting early dent. The 106-day is in full dent, and I'm pretty happy with it. You do need moisture. That plant is still a living organism. It still needs to have moisture. So we got 5 inches of moisture here the other day from that hurricane, and screwed us up for baling hay, but it didn't screw us up for growing corn. And I've got a little over 300 acres of corn in the ground, and in all honesty, I have no place to put it. I've got a 23,000 bushel bin, and when I planted it, I figured, well, I'll have somewhere around well, 60,000 bushels at 200 acres. I'll have something like 50 to 70,000 bushels, but I'm looking at a solid 60,000, possibly more. And I've only got storage for about one third. Yeah, so I've got that, but that's okay. I'll sell two-thirds of it off. Farmall Fanatic, in memory of River Wars. River Wars. Well, I mean, me and Eric Moser, we buried the hatchet. We don't have any animosity anymore. I actually met up with him and made a video together. He is off doing more important things, and I think he's grown a lot. The realization that a small YouTube channel can die just as well as a bigger one, and fighting amongst us doesn't do anybody any good. And I mean, we weren't fighting. I mean, I was not happy with him on multiple occasions, and but that's life, and we grew up and got over it, and so yeah, me and Eric Moser are just fine. Still growing at 5 foot. What? My corn is very tall. It's very tall. The ears are around here. They're a little. It's a shorter variety than it was last year. Next year, I think I'm going to try a different company, a seed company, and I'm going to try um, a couple of different, what do you call it, varieties more than that, because I'm still planning on killing about 1,000 acres of hay. I know that the fertilizer plant up here was like, get the hell out of here. You don't want to kill 1,000 acres of hay. Well, I do. The mushroom barn is going to be like, you're gonna kill 1,000 acres. Yeah, right. Well, I'm gonna kill 1,000 acres, and I'm gonna start killing it this fall, so that the grass is completely dead by spring, and then I can, get my compost onto it and get it chiseled in, and it'll all that grass. I won't have to deal with sod and grass clumps and early spraying Roundup that doesn't seem to want to work because there's too much nutrition there. Because I feed my fields and they do pay me back. Australia has gone crazy. I saw that. I saw that they're vaccinating kids without their parents' permission too. And I think, well, let's put it this way: they disarmed their citizens. They disarmed their citizens. Remember this: they disarmed their citizens. So the government can do whatever the hell they want. And if this country doesn't wise up, we're going to be in a fight for our firearms. I don't think that this country is going to give them up that easy. They'll march on Washington and take it over, take it back. The cat's still in the windrower? No, it's long gone. I'm not going to put up bins. I'm going to buy one of those baggers. That's what I'll do. Yeah, there's no sense in building bins when you can buy a bagger, and then you run the moisture down to 13, 14%, and fill up a silo bag, and then when you want it, you unfill it. Why does that guy feel the necessary to give me the high beams? So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. If you've ever seen those, there is some spoilage here and there if you get a hole in it, but I don't much care. I think that that's the cheaper option. Another 30, say 25, 30,000 bushel bin is going to be over $60,000, and that just doesn't excite me at all. Because not only you got to put up a $60,000, then you got to start thinking about a leg and other things like that, and I just don't see the necessity of it. To me, it just doesn't make sense. Whereas one of those bags, you just put it in a level spot, which I have. Yeah, I don't know. I should probably talk to Nick and see what his thoughts were on it. I don't know. I know that Rissers did it. Double bag, double bag it. Anyways, yeah. How much is a bagger? I could buy the bagger for less than the bin, less than one bin. It's not the bagger, it's the bag, and you can rent the bagger if you need to rent the bagger. And I may even do that this year. I'm not sure. I have to look. Ask Zach. I don't think Zach has a bagger. Um, I don't. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that run them locally here, not that far. I could call up Brent Risser. Brent Risser's a grain buyer here and see where they go with that. I know he did it. I knew there was some spoilage. They put it in a wet area, and they didn't put it on flat. They kind of went out into a field, and it got muddy. And that cold, wet. Yeah, well, bagging silage and bagging dry grain is very different. So you kind of gotta auto connect, ongoing. Press OK to enter. I don't need to connect to this. Zach has grain bin. Well, I know he has a grain bin. So do I. I've had grain bins since before Zach was born. You do realize Zach is about 12 years younger than me, right? And I was a kid, a little kid, when we built ours. Yeah, actually, we had the grain bins before Zach's father started farming in 1981 or two. Yeah, there you go. I mean, we've been farming grain here since 1925. Yeah, 1925 here. So now I don't know Zach's family's been out there, but they kind of did a land swap shuffle or whatever. Well, I don't know what Zach's financials are. I think Zach is a pretty savvy guy, and he's making enough money on YouTube. He doesn't need anybody else's money. YouTube pays a lot of money when you get over 250,000 subscribers. I mean, he's probably pulling in $250,000 a year just on YouTube. I'm sure you can look it up on the Social Blade, and they'll tell you the estimated. I mean, they estimate me to be making $50,000-$60,000, and that's not true, but it's close. And I'm pretty happy about it. But it is. It's just another part of this business. It's like a different crop. Making YouTube videos is another crop. So, but anyways, I'm home now, and I'm no longer at the field. I'm home, and I'm gonna go in and I'm going to eat because I ate a hamburger for lunch and nothing for breakfast, and I'm pretty damn hungry, and I'm looking forward to that steak and them beans because I like them. See more of the windrower. You want to see more of the windrower? Jealousy is a bad thing. I mean, who's jealous? I'm not jealous of anybody. And so that's one thing you guys all have to understand. I am jealous of no one. I've made my business mine. Um, I was in the hay and grain business. My dad, he milked cows for a living. I never did. I milked cows with my father, but I never milked cows. Whoa, somebody gave me money. Hey, must appreciate your videos, buddy. Well, geez, Benjamin Stockton, thank you. Some of your views are. Some of my my viewers are jealous. OLF needs a domain. Damon, well, I don't know what that is. So anyway, I'm going to go eat because I'm hungry. I choose not to eat. That's because I'm losing weight. If you haven't noticed, I've lost about 22 pounds, 22 plus pounds. BC65925. Oh, admit it. I had Mexican girls all over my scooter, and you were jealous. Well, that's true. That's true. But now I've got an Asian hottie in here, and I don't need no Mexican girls, right? Asawa, what are you doing? Oh, a naked kid with a gun. Oh, good job.